All right, in question number 16, it says, what is the value of 0.8637 rounded to the nearest hundredth? All right, to find out what the number is rounded to the nearest hundredth, first what you want to do is write down the different places for each one of the numbers. So this number, the 0, that's in the ones place. This 8 is in the tenths place. The 6 is in the hundredths place. The 3 thousandths. And the 7 is 10 thousandths. So the number we need to focus on is the number to the right of the hundredths place. So the number to the right of the hundredths place is a 3. And when you're doing rounding, if the number is between 1 and 4, the number stays the same. And if it's 5 to 9, round up. So since the number to the right of the hundredths place, or the 6, is a 3, that means that the 6 stays the same. So our answer is going to be 0.86, or A. In question number 17, it says 60% of what number is equal to 30? So there is actually an equation you could use to figure this out. That equation is whole number times percent, and that's as a decimal, equals part. So we need to look at the numbers that it gave us. So it says 60% of what number is equal to 30. So based off of that, 230. We don't have the whole number. We have a percent. So we could write whole number times the percent as a decimal. So it would be 0.60. And we can actually just drop that first 0. So it would be 0.60 equals 30. And the reason we noted that's equal to 30 because it says it in the problem, 60% of what number is equal to 30. So in order to figure out what the whole number is, what we need to do is we need to divide both. We need to get the whole number on the side by itself. So we need to divide both sides by 60, or 0.60. That 0.60 cancels out on this side, but then we have whole number equals 30 over 0.60. So that's what we end up with, but we need to divide 30 by 0.60. So to do that, again, we just bring that 30 down, 30, boom. So now we have 0.60, and I need a little bit more space. 0.60 divided by, well, 330 divided by 0.60. All right, so we can do this at the beginning of the problem, or we can do it at the end, but I usually do it at the beginning. So since that number on the outside of the division sign is a decimal, we need to move this number over 2 times, or that decimal over 2 times, to make that a whole number. But when you do it on the outside, you also have to do it on the inside. So there is a decimal point here in the inside. With any whole number, there is actually 0.0000, but we don't write it that way. So we have a decimal on the inside, so we're going to move that over to, just like we did on the outside, put the decimal there, put those zeros there. So now what that gives us is 60 divided by 3,000. All right, so now we can do our long division. 60 can't go into 3, so we put a 0 over the 3. 60 can't go into 30. We put a 0 over that first 0. 60 can go into 300. It can go into 300 5 times. And 5 times 60 is 300. We subtract 300 from 300. Put that subtraction sign a little bit better. And that gives 0, 0, 0. We bring the 0 down. 60 goes into 0, 0 times, and that just zeroes us out. So our answer is D. Question number 18 says 4/3 divided by 1/6 is equal to P. Then the value of P is between which of the following pairs of numbers? All right, when you do division of fractions, I want you to think of 3 letters. K, C, F. Not KFC like the chicken place, but KCF. What that means is that's keep, change, flip. So what we're going to do is we're going to write our problem here, 6. So we're going to keep that first fraction. We're going to change the order of the operation, and we're going to flip that last fraction to get a reciprocal. So let's do that. So we have 4/3. We're keeping 4/3. We're going to change division to the opposite, which is multiplication, and then we're going to get the reciprocal of 1/6, which is 6 over 1. And multiplying fractions, to me, is the easiest way to solve fractions, because all you're doing is, and I always draw my arrow, you're going to multiply each number across. So 4 times 6 is 24. 3 times 1 is 3. We need to simplify this. So we can just pretty much divide 24 by 3. 3 can't go into 2, so I put a 0 there. 3 can go into 24 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24. That gives us 0. So our answer is 8, and 8 is between the numbers 7 and 9. All right, and question number 19, which of the following inequities is true? So we have fractions here. The way I solve this is I turn all these fractions into decimals. So I'm going to start with letter A. To turn 3/4 into a fraction, that's 3 divided by 4. So that's 3, 4, and 3. 4 can't go into 3. Put a 0 here. We add a 0 here. When we add that first 0, put our decimal. 4 goes into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Anytime you get a number with the decimal, you want to get at least 2 numbers after the decimal. So we have 0.7, but we want to get another number after that. 4 can't go into 2, so we add another 0. Bring that 0 down. 4 goes into 20 5 times. So 3 over 4 is equal to 0.75. All right, so next we're going to turn 5/7 into a decimal. So to do that, the denominator goes on the outside, numerator goes on the inside. So 7 can't go into 5. We put a 0 over the 5. We can add a 0 here when we add that first 0, put our decimal place there. 7 goes into 50, 70, 7 times. 7 times 7, 49. That gives us 1. Again, anytime we get a decimal, we want to have at least 2 numbers after the decimal. 7 can't go into 1, so we add a 0. Bring that 0 down. 7 goes into 10 one time. And we can just keep going, but we got our 2 numbers. So it's saying that 0.75 is less than 0.71. That is not correct. So we can X that out. All right, next we're going to do 2/3 is greater than 5/6. So let's go ahead and do that one. So once again, we have 2/3. So that's going to be 2 divided by 3. 3 can't go into 2, so we put a 0 over the 2. We can add a 0 here. When we add that first 0, we put a decimal point up at the top. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. 3 can't go into 2, so we can add another 0 here. Bring our 0 down. 3 goes into 20 6 times. And this is just going to keep being 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. All right, so let's do 5/6. I guess I could put it here. So 6 goes on the outside. That's the numerator, or the denominator. Denominator goes on the outside. Numerator goes on the inside. 6 can't go into 5, so we add a 0. All right, we need to add a 0 here. Put our decimal point because that's the first 0 we had. 6 goes into 50. 8 times. 8 times 6, 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. We always want to get at least 2 numbers after our decimal. 6 can't go into 2, so we can add another 0. Bring that 0 down. 6 goes into 20 3 times. So what B is saying is that 0.66 is greater than 0.83. We know that that is not correct. X that out. So leaves that. All right, I am going to skip past the correct answer. The correct answer for this problem is C, but I want to give you as much practice working on numbers, fractions. So we're gonna move on. Let me X that out because that's not correct. We're gonna move to D because C is the answer. So again, we have 4/5, and that becomes 4 divided by 5. All right, so 5 can't go into 4, so we put a 0 over the 4, add a 0 here, put our decimal right there. Once we add that first 0, 5 goes into 40 8 times. 8 times 5, 40. 0, 0. So that's 0.8. And then we have 2/9. Again, 2 divided by 9. 9 can't go into 2. We add a 0 here. Add a 0 on the inside the division sign. And then when we add that first 0 again, we add a decimal. 9 goes into 20 3 times, or excuse me, 2 times. Let me erase that. 9 goes into 20 2 times, not 3. 2 times 9 is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. So we're going to get two numbers, even though we see right now that that is not correct. D is not correct, but we're going to get two numbers after the decimal point. So we add another 0, bring that 0 down. 9 goes into 20 2 times. So what D is saying is that 0.80 is less than 0.22. We know that that is not correct. So D is not correct. So now we're going to do the problem for C. I'm going to show you why C is the correct answer. All right, so D is not the answer. So let's go ahead and do 5/8. And we got 6/10. All right, so 5 goes into, or 5 divided by 8, so boom. 8 can't go into 5. We add a 0 when we add up top, but we can add a 0 in here. Once we add that first 0, put our decimal point up there, up top. 8 goes into 50 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 from 50 is 2. We want to get at least two numbers after the decimal. So we add another 0 because 8 can't go into 2. All right, 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8, 16. And we're good there. All right, so that's equal to, I'm going to erase this, 0.62. And then we do 6 divided by 10. 10 can't go into 6. Put a 0 up top. 0 down here. When you add that first 0, put a decimal. 10 divided by 60. 10 can't go into 60 6 times. 6 times 10 is 60. So that is equal to 0.60 or 0.6. So 0.62 is greater than 0.6. So our answer is C. Moving on to this word problem, it says Carol works at a bookstore and a restaurant. In a 28-day period, Carol worked 1/4 of the days at the bookstore and did not work 1/14 of the days. On the remaining days, Carol worked at the restaurant. How many days did Carol work at the restaurant during the 28-day period? All right, so anytime you have a word problem, again, read it through at least 2 times. The first time, you're just reading it through. The second time is where you start making your notes. So we're going to make our notes now. So we know that this is a 28-day work period. We know 1/4 of those days was worked at a bookstore, and we know 1/14 of the days she didn't work at all. So we need to figure out how many days she worked at the restaurant. So to do that, we're going to do some multiplication of fractions. So the first fractions we are going to multiply is 1/4 times 28. So we can turn 28 into a fraction by putting a 1 over it, because if you divide 28 by 1, you get 28. But we never put that 1 at the bottom unless we're doing something like this. So we have, that gives us 28 over 4, and we simplify that. So 4 can go into 28 7 times. So at the bookstore, Carol worked 7 days. because 28 divided by 4 is 7. That's how we get that. All right. So next, we need to figure out how many days she did not work. All right, so let's underline that with this. So we're going to do the same thing. We know that it's a 28-day work period. We know she did not work 1/14 of those 28 days. So we're going to do 28, and we're going to turn 28 into a fraction. And we're going to multiply those fractions. And that gives us 28 over 14. So did not work equals. And you simplify this. 14 goes into 28 2 times. So that's 0, 2. 2 times 14 is 28. All right, so she did not work 2 days. All right, so now we figure out the remaining days. Let's do that. So to do that, we know it's a 28-day work period. We're going to subtract the 7 days that she worked at the bookstore. That gives us 21. And I'm going to make that black. And then we need to subtract the 2 days she did not work. And the number of days that she worked at the restaurant is 19, so B.